In this episode, we're going to show you the very first thing we do every time we get a new annual edition of the U.S. Coast Guard BARD database. We create what we call a combined table. We find this to be an incredibly helpful interface for our future work with the new BARD database. Actually, we just told a fib. The very first thing we do when we receive a new annual BARD database is we unzip the compressed file and make a copy of the unzipped file for our archives in case we somehow mess up the copy we normally use. Now back to our presentation. We have already fired up Microsoft Access and loaded the Coast Guard's 2018 BARD database. If you've been following our earlier episodes, you will notice we updated from Microsoft Access 2003 to the latest version of Access 2019, which now comes as part of Microsoft 365. Earlier, we stayed with the 2003 version to run some very old databases from time to time. Recently, Microsoft added that ability to the version of Access in Microsoft 365, so we upgraded. I will now explain what we're originally going to be doing. As seen earlier, BARD is made up of 4 separate tables: releasable accidents, releasable vessels, releasable injuries, and releasable deaths. Most of our work at PropellerSafety.com focuses on the accident and vessel tables. If we identify a propeller accident in the accident table, we want to know what type of vessel was involved. What kind of propulsion unit did it have? Who built the boat? Who built the marine drive? And other information from the vessel table. We cannot see that data from the accident table. We had to slide back to the far left edge of the accident table data, write down the BARD ID number of that accident, close the accident table, open the vessel table, sort the BARD ID column using the A to Z sort tool. Then scroll down through the BARD ID column looking for the BARD ID number we wrote down earlier. Once we find that BARD ID number, we look around a little at that data to make sure we're really on the right accident. Then we scroll way over far to the right looking for the vessel information of interest to us. Here we can see the rented, boat manufacturer, boat model, hull ID number, engine manufacturer, and horsepower information. Rather than going through this grueling process over and over and over again, we create what we call the combined table. This combined table is basically a union or combination of many of the cells of the accident table with many of the cells of the vessel table. It resembles a gigantic spreadsheet. We begin by using the queries tool. In a database, a query is basically you asking the database for certain data, like please find me the boat propeller accidents. In this particular instance, we're not really going to ask it for several cells or variables from the accidents table and for several cells or variables from the vessels table. We'll have the query system put them together to form a new combined table. While we call the result a combined table, in real life it's officially a combined query. To actually create the query, we use the Microsoft Access Query Wizard. To get to the Query Wizard, we must first click on Create, then on Query Wizard. When we create the combined table, we are able to select which variables we want to include. I'll leave out many of the minor variables, such as what time it was, how high the waves were, if there was a fire extinguisher on board, and things of that nature. We can always go back to the accident table or vessel table and look up the other variables we want if we want to find their values. Before someone tells me fire extinguishers are not a minor variable, I know fire extinguishers are very important. They are just usually not of interest to the accidents we typically search for. I continue to pick out variables to be part of the combined query. Once we select the variables of interest from the accidents table, we pick the vessels table from the drop-down in the simple query wizard and begin to select variables of interest to us from the vessels table. If other variables are of interest to you, select them, or just select all of them using the double arrow symbol. Just remember, you can always go back to the accidents table or vessels table and look at them there if you need them. I continue to pick out variables to be part of the combined query. I continue to pick out variables to be part of the combined query. Once we've selected all the variables of interest using the simple query wizard, we select Next. The system then asks us if we want a detail or a summary query. We select Detail, then we click Finish. The system places the results of our query as a separate pink tab named Releasable Accidents Query. Click on the X to the right of the Releasable Accidents tab to dismiss that tab. If we pull down to our previous propeller accident of interest, CO-2018-0015, then slide to the right to the accident events, we still see it listed as Event 1. Now, if we pull all the way to the right, we have immediate access to the boat builder and related information. Our combined table vastly simplified this process while making it much quicker as well. The next step is to rename our query as the combined table. First, we close our query, currently named Releasable Accidents Query. Then we use the drop-down arrow on the Tables page to select the queries. We select our query from the list, we right-click it, and select Rename from the drop-down list of options. Then we type in its new name, Combined Table GP. I have a habit of often appending my initials to queries so I know they are mine and not someone else's. When we begin a new project, we always begin by making a copy of our combined table and rename the copy so the original is always quickly available for making more copies. If you begin on the Tables page, use the drop-down arrow to select Queries. Right-click on our Combined Table GP query. Select Copy from the drop-down list. Right-click on the Combined Table GP query again. This time, select Paste from the drop-down list. The system will give you an opportunity to name the query. We name the copy something relevant to our current project, such as CT Current Project GP in this instance, where CT stands for Combined Table. CT Current Project GP is now ready for use as our combined table for our new project. This is the end of our combined table BARD tutorial. We hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please post them below. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.